Now we're going to look at a phylogenetic tree, and what they did is they've inserted little pictures just in case you didn't know what these animals and creatures looked like, and they say the phylogenetic tree below represents the possible representation of human evolution. No one can say for sure that this is exactly how humans evolved, because remember, there are a whole bunch of fossils that haven't been found, or have been found, but they all mold up. Remember, the problem with fossils, okay, because you've got genetic evidence, you've got fossil evidence, but fossils is, first of all, it's very difficult to date any fossils. You really got to work hard to get the proper dating. So it's carbon dating and relative dating, which is when they look at where the fossil was found in the layers that make up a whole bunch of ground. So if it's right at the bottom, it means it's old because it's been covered by layer and layer and layer over the top. Also, your organism that died has to be looked after and almost preserved in a certain way. So it has to be dry. If it gets wet, the flesh rots. If it's left, if the organism died, and well, there were hyenas and whatever other animals around, they would have gone off with the bones and gone and had a nice chew on the bones. So that is why fossils are very rarely found complete. And you'll have a cave where fossils in the front are all broken and bitty, and others are well preserved. So it just depends on how that animal organism became fossilized. And also remember that if for your soft-bodied organisms, okay, your hydrostatic type, skeletal type animals, they don't preserve very well. Okay, so they are not fossilized, or very few that I even know of. Okay, now something else. Looking at this phylogenetic tree here, the first mistake I can pick up is that Australopithecus africanus actually was around from about, about 3.4 Maya to 2 Maya. And it doesn't look like that here. So what you need to do when you get a representation like this with little heads, or even if it's been, when you get the schematic, you must read off that schematic, even if you know it's not correct. All right, you must go with what they're showing you on your schematic or your diagram that they give you. Okay, so it says here, let's just go through what this is. This is present time, okay? So this would be us 2020, and here we go to 1. So this is 1 here. You can barely see that that's a 1. This would be 2. This is 3. That's, what am I doing? For heaven's sake, 1, 2. I'm busy telling you it goes backwards and then I write the other way around. Okay, 1, 2. This is 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going backwards. So we're moving upwards towards the present time. Okay, so these are going to be the oldest, and these are going to be Homo sapiens, which is us. Alrighty, now, what else? We started with our hominin ancestors. There was this split, and then we end up with Pan, which is your chimpanzees. Okay, and then we have the split here. And here we have Ardipithecus, and from Ardipithecus, that died off about here, which is probably about 4.4 Maya ago. We then have Australopithecus, which now goes on this branch. And then Australopithecus developed into Afarensis, and Afarensis then developed into Africanus. Okay, and also Paranthropus, which is over here. That's where the split comes. So it goes this way, and you've got a whole bunch that go that way. And then where do we come in? Well, your Homo species came from Australopithecus africanus, and then we had Homo erectus, and then we had Neanderthalensis, and then us sitting over here. They also tell you when tools, who started using tools. Now, just a handy note, Homo habilis was actually known as handyman. How's that for a snippet of information? Because of the tools that they found around where Homo habilis was, all right? And then clearly the use of fire, well, the use of fire would have been, that is along here. So if we take let me find a piece of paper here. So the use of fire would have started here, all right? And that would then be Erectus would have used fire, Neanderthalis would have used fire, and obviously Homo sapiens. We use fire, don't we? Okay, so let's look at our questions. All right, it says, name the most recent common ancestor of the Homo genus. So, Homo genus, well, Homo starts, so let me use a different color here. Let's use navy. Homo starts here. So who is linked to Homo? Who is a direct link here to Homo? It is Australopithecus africanus. So I'm going to use yellow, and I'm going to write here. So it would be for question, it's just on. You can actually just put A for Australopithecus. It saves you having to write it out. It is quite acceptable, but put a little full stop after it. And then it is Africanus. Okay? Or if you're going to write out Australopithecus, people please spell it correctly because it's on your paper. If you then spell it incorrectly, they may penalize you. Look, I don't know, I'm not there, I'm not a marker. They may. So just put A dot africanus. Okay, so this is the species name, always written with a lowercase letter. The genus is always written with a capital letter. Okay, then it says next question. Let's get blue again. Give the period of existence for the species mentioned in 1. So the period of existence for Australopithecus africanus. Let's get a piece of paper here so I can draw a straight line. So you see here, it's indicated here on the diagram already, there. So let's use, let's get red. Okay, so this will be there, okay, and then they stopped here. Because they don't show between here and there that Australopithecus africanus disappeared at any point here. So they don't show that it became extinct. But at this point, you've got Homo erectus evolves, and going up, you've got Neanderthalis that evolves. So we know that Australopithecus africanus, who was our period of existence in the species here, this little guy was from, and this is about 2.5 Maya to, because remember we go backwards, to about 1 Maya. Okay? And actually, that's not correct. As I said, Australopithecus africanus, let's just get the blue here, Australopithecus africanus actually lived between 3.4 Maya and 2 Maya. If you go and check Google, you can go and check wherever you like. They're going to tell you that Australopithecus africanus, some will tell you 3.6. So between, let's say, 3.6 and 2 Maya. So this diagram's not correct, but they want to see that you can figure out when this organism actually lived. He arrived here, they indicate that with a little black line, and at this point he no longer exists. Okay, and from him we have Homo habilis developing here. All right, now our next question says, state the number of genera, which is your plural for a genus, represented in the diagram. So let's count them. Okay. Let me choose another color. Okay, we have, first of all, Ardipithecus. We have Australopithecus is 2. We have Paranthropus is 3. We have Homo is 4. And Pan is 5. So there are a total of 5 different genuses or genera. So we're going to say 5 genera that are represented. Now, based on the diagram, give one facial feature that differentiates humans from Australopithecus africanus. So let's go back to our Australopithecus africanus. So we're looking at humans and we're looking at this little guy here. So what can you see? All right, I'm going to write it. Okay, first of all, look at the human's flat face. So they're going to have a, I want to write it here on the side. So let's take all of this away. Okay. Okay. What did the human have? The human's got a flat face. Okay. Because all they're asking you for is the characteristics. So one facial characteristic, what you can see. So we can see a flat face, but let's look. We can also see a chin. So you can say, well developed chin. Okay, you can see it. There's the chin. There's no chin here. It just goes jing, 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 jing. It goes down like that. Okay. What else can you see? You can see it's non-prognathous. And what does prognathous mean? And you must know what non-prognathous means. It means a protruding jaw. So if it's non-prognathous, it has no protruding jaw. You could just say a jaw doesn't protrude. The problem is that in exams, they want you to know the term prognathous. So that's why I'm saying non-prognathous. I'm going to put in brackets here. Jaw not protruding. Okay. Okay. What else can we see here? We can see there are no brow ridges. So no brow ridges. Whereas look here, those brow ridges are nice and big over there. I'm trying to think. Oh, you've got a very small jaw here versus this huge jaw over here. And then if you could see the teeth, you could have also commented on the teeth. People, you must know the characteristics that are different between Australopithecus, an African ape, and Homo sapiens, us. Right, so just use your common sense. It's like last week when they said what are the similarities between the upper limb of an African ape and a human. It would be we have a freely rotating arm, okay, upper limb. All right, we have a freely rotating wrist. Elbow. We have a freely rotating wrist. We have an opposable thumb. We've got bare fingertips. We've got nails instead of claws, and we have a 5-digit limb, or you can say it's a pendactyl limb. It's here. So these are easy marks to get. Alrighty, next question. Identify 2 species that both use tools and fire. Okay, so we take our ruler again and we say, okay, so here's the use of tools, goes along here. But it says use tools and fire. So if we draw a line along here, use tools and fire, it means Homo erectus, Homo sapiens, and Homo neanderthalis all used tools, and that's what you would write here. And you can put for the different, you can put you can just put H dot erectus. You can put H dot what was it, Neanderthalensis, and H sap. Hang on, it's a lowercase. What am I doing? H sapiens. Right, so any two of those three. Name one Australopithecus. Name any one Australopithecus africanus fossil found in South Africa. Okay, people, this is something that you must know because they often ask it. So your Australopithecus africanus, we are very, very, very well known in the world for the Sterkfontein caves. And all of the different fossils that were found in these caves. So your two Australopithecus africanus fossils were the tongue child, or you could have said Mrs. Pless. Okay, these two are, they're popular. They're things you're supposed to know anyway. All right, so Sterkfontein caves made us world famous. And they'd found not one, they found two Australopithecus africanus skeletons there. The tongue child, shame, is not complete, and nor is Mrs. Pless. But go and look them up so that you can remember. And they were found in the Sterkfontein caves. Okay, then it says list two types of evidence that can be used to support the out of Africa hypothesis. Now, out of Africa hypothesis means that here we have Africa, okay, and that every organism on this planet, so all in Europe and in Australia and in the Americas, okay, everyone came from good old Africa. So it's the out of Africa hypothesis, and it's going to be fossil evidence, okay, and your other type of evidence will be genetic evidence. Okay, so fossil evidence and genetic evidence, that's it. You could also have had cultural evidence, but your cultural evidence like tools and things are not actually going to show you that it came out of Africa. It could have been organisms there that used the tools. All right, but out of Africa, fossil and genetic, and that genetic evidence, we've got something called mtDNA. And mtDNA is mitochondrial DNA. And we are all of us, traced back to mitochondrial Eve, who lived, created, born in Africa. And because us girls are just so amazing, we carry look, guys also have mitochondrial DNA, but it is our mitochondrial DNA that's passed on to the babies, not the guy. Why? Because the mitochondria in a male sits in the sperm cell, is in the mid region. That's where the mitochondria is. And what is the only part of the sperm cell that enters the egg cell? It is only the head of so it's basically the nucleus of the sperm cell that goes into the egg cell. The rest of the sperm cell, the little tail and the mid region, stays behind. That's where the mitochondria are. So what mitochondrial DNA do we have in the new zygote? Only the mitochondrial DNA that was in the egg cell. And where does the egg cell come from? From us girls. So ladies, we are the ones that can be traced all the way back to this girl, this incredible nana mama called mitochondrial Eve. and she is from Africa. Something else, they say that Africa's got the most diversity and variety within our species, our human species living in Africa. Okay, so that's number one. We've got mitochondrial Eve because we all have her mitochondrial DNA, traces all the way back to her. And then something else. All humans out of Africa, every single human being, Homo sapien, is from Africa. We all are from Africa. So your Chinese, your Italians, your Portuguese, your Australians, your Americans, guess what? All their ancestors trace back to Africa. Okay, and Homo sapiens, and they've used fossil evidence to determine this, Homo sapiens left Africa and went into Europe and Asia about between 50,000 and 70,000 years ago. It depends on which book and which article you're reading. But it's between 50 and 70,000 years ago. Okay, they went off to Europe and Asia. You know why? Because there was a major drought in Africa. And the animals started to migrate towards food. And so the humans followed, short on their heels because the humans ate the animals. And when there's a drought, well, guess what? They know plants, so the animals move. They go to where the food is. And that is how many of us ended up, in fact, many of us, probably the majority, ended up in Europe and Asia. And Homo habilis actually went to Europe and Asia way before Homo sapiens did. But Homo sapiens, 50 to 70,000 years ago, we were all living here happily in Africa.